Roll, okay. Right, so obviously, we had a chat last time, and you said you've watched Cowspiracy. Have you actually done that?
Yes, I have.
Good. I'm proud of you. I'm proud. Good. So I guess, well, actually,
Oh.
let's give people a quick recap. So obviously, the last debate, dropping some truth bombs on you, telling you what's
Mhm.
going on with the animals and stuff. We're not just going down that logic road anymore. We're just going down the real
Mhm.
road. The real road. That's what it is. Um,
Ooh.
and then you weren't aware that much about the environment stuff, and obviously you wanted to learn a bit more and everything. So now you've watched Cowspiracy. I
Mhm.
mean, what have you learned from the documentary? What's been your thoughts?
Oh, is this a test?
Well, no, I just
Um.
want to know your opinion on it. What did you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I think. I think. Um. Oh, you want me like to have like a blunt answer? Like you don't really give a fuck. Just go ahead and say something,
Well, no,
right?
no, you know me.
So
I expect you to tell the truth. You know I
yeah.
tell the truth.
Yeah. So to be honest, I know that it has a lot of things like deforestation and all that stuff. Um, but the part where I was actually very interested was like at the last minute where they were talking about uh, how this much of land can feed this group of people,
Yeah,
and then this much of land is required to feed this group of animals in order to feed this small portion of people. You know, and that part I was interested because you know how our last live stream we were talking about what I was talking about how like to have a more sustainable um, production of food,
yeah.
and I was interested in that, and I think I tweeted to you like uh, the last I don't know 3 to 5 minutes. That's what they showed at the last documentary, and that is what piqued my interest a little bit more than my base peak, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
from there, yeah, that was basically it. And I'm like, oh, okay,
So you kind of wanted a little
you
bit
know. And then,
more elaboration on that kind of side of stuff, and
yeah, that's what I wanted.
yeah. Well, I guess I mean,
Like,
to be honest, there isn't that much to kind of elaborate on if you think about it, because I mean, it is quite a simple thing. You think about the amount of land it takes, for the animals, and then to feed the animals. That's obviously going to take up more space than we could ever, I mean, than plants. I mean, with stuff like vertical farming and stuff as well, we're going to be able to grow plants in a lot smaller area and in greater numbers. So as far as the sustainability goes, it's really kind of as basic as that, really.
mhm,
That these animals take up space. They're big things and they use a lot of resources.
yeah,
And they're not, without kind of intensifying farming even more, which I don't think anyone wants. I don't even think most meat eaters want is to intensify factory farming. Um, then yeah, we're kind of left with what's the better solution. And from what the kind of film kind of lays out there is plants are the most sustainable out of all of them for a growing population.
but can we say that it's the most sustainable in the sense that uh, it can potentially have a one-way route for humanity to go into? Do you
I'm not,
understand what I'm saying?
I'm not, no, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you kind of elaborate a bit there?
Uh, surely, like for instance, last time we talked, you mentioned you threw me a curveball with the milk stuff, right?
Yeah,
The lactose intolerant and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so let's presume that people who actually need meat, you know,
Okay,
to survive and have a healthy diet. What about those people? Can we
okay. Well,
arguably say that
I mean,
because
who,
of
who
this
are who are
particular
these
lifestyle
who,
is
who are these people?
huh?
Who are these people?
Um, hold on.
And the
Let
main
me
thing I'd ask is,
Google
are you those people?
Chris. I am not one of those people, but
because there might be remote tribes and stuff like this that need to do certain things because of their situation. But I mean, I'm not out there trying to turn them vegan because because at the moment they haven't got the choice.
What I'm trying to imply is that we're going to go off on probability theory per se and say that we're not 100% absolute certain that everybody can live this particular lifestyle. So
yeah, I mean, I can agree to that to a point because at the moment there are a lot of people that can't, and that's a fact. There are some people that just do not have those resources to do it. But I think that the people that do have those resources, considering the the kind of weight there on the the ethics and the environment and the health impacts that it has, then it kind of makes sense for us to do that if we're in a position to do that. Which I think if you live in a Western society, you are in a position to do that. Mm-hmm. And what would your thoughts on that be?
Again, we're going back. We're hinging back to the probability of, the theory of probability. Is everybody 100% in those places within the Western society that you mentioned? What are you absolute 100% guarantee that everybody can live that particular lifestyle?
Well, I mean, in what way would you think they couldn't? Were you thinking in health aspects, or were you thinking in a different aspect?
Well, I'm just saying that I'm merely agnostic to the notion that because we can, due to a particular society and their modern times of living in a particular way, we should then say that we should go down this particular path.
Yeah, because I can't see.
I mean, the fact that you're asking me that.
I mean, I can't see with the increase in vegan products on the shelf and the way it's all going, that there's no realistic reason that no one in the Western world couldn't adopt a vegan diet. I mean, it's getting to the point, where McDonald's have just released a vegan burger in Finland. So when McDonald's starts serving vegan burgers worldwide, like what kind of excuse do we have now to not choose those options? Like Ben and Jerry's now have vegan ice creams, and that's just going to happen more and more over the years. We're going to have more and more of these products, so which means it's going to be less and less difficult. And when it gets to the point where there is next to zero difficulty, what is everyone's excuse going to be at that point?
They're going to say it's for food.
Yeah, they're going to say they can say it's for food, but then we went through this before. Like I could say, I guess I'm going to be a human because it's for food. We know where this is going to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to go over there.
Yeah, you know where it's going to go.
Should we go there? I think
it's up to you.
I think when I.
So actually, I want to go back.
Saying from my perspective,
I want to go back to the question that I asked you before, and I can't remember if you answered it. So if there's two burgers, right, two identical burgers, they taste the same and everything, but one of them involves more suffering than the other. Which one do you choose?
Why, Chris?
But the thing is, this is honestly, this is a really simple question, though, isn't it? If you think about it realistically, okay, this is a really genuine, simple question. You can't tell me, I've spoken to you enough to know that you're not a horrible person. There's no real reason you wouldn't want to choose the more suffering option when the choices are identical. I mean, why would you ever want to do that? Are you really going to tell me that you're going to pick the more suffering option just for the sake of it?
Well, I'm not gonna pick that one. I'm just gonna.
You've got to answer the question, though. Come on.
It's more like.
I know it's an awkward question, and I know you don't like. I know you don't like agreeing with me all the time, but I think this is something you should agree with me on. I think it's a really reasonable question.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from with that question. So just hear me out.
Okay, I'll hear you out, but I'm going to take you back to the question, though, but carry on.
Okay. So, by you asking me that question, if I were to answer either one, you would actually trying to dictate where my morals lie in a particular framework, right? So if I say I would choose the one where animals suffer to obtain a particular meat.
Yeah,
Therefore, I don't have any issue with going through a particular uh, villainous way in today's standard to obtain that particular threshold. And if I choose B, or if I choose B, I would actually try to reduce the actual suffering per se,
yeah,
a less villainous way to because of there's still some villain in it because you're still putting the injection in them and then pulling them out, pulling out the blood cells out and stuff like that, and it's just less per se, and the animals don't have to die, which is the key factor, and what you call, and you still obtain the same threshold, and that is food.
yeah.
Is that what you're trying to get at with this question?
Well, yeah, I'm just, it's just a really basic thing, isn't it? I mean, like you expressed to me before that one thing you're really, concerned about is, you want to be able to feed the world, feed the world and protect humans and all this kind of stuff, which shows you've got kind of compassion there.
Yeah.
So anything that kind of builds towards that
Yes.
should be something within your interests, and I can't see where us continuing to eat animals. I mean, I guess I would ask, what are the benefits of us continuing to eat animals for the human race? Realistically, are we going to have more benefits from continuing to do what we do rather than adapt and move to plant-based, which seems to be the more sustainable, and it's going to cause just, less harm all round? I mean, wouldn't that be part of your goal?
You kind of cut off there.
Oh, sorry. What did you hear exactly? What did I get up to?
I think you said because you are more directed towards the more framework of like being more for the people per se, and
Okay, yeah. I remember what I said. So yeah, so
I don't know.
that's all right. No, so basically, you've already expressed that you have an interest in trying to, kind of help feed the world and help humans and all this kind of stuff, and it's something that you're actively looking to do. So what I was kind of asking is, what do you think are the actual benefits of us continuing to, live in the system that we're in at the moment involving animal products, when it does seem that plant-based seems to be the more sustainable option, and we're going to cause less suffering? It's also going to be beneficial to humans in, we are going to be able to have less, diseases, heart disease, diabetes, all things like that. So what do you see are the benefits of not switching to that system?
I guess we're gonna have to reduce one whole entire food consumption option.
Yeah. I mean, but
And
is that an
by doing
excuse not?
that,
But just because we've got to make a drastic change, is that an excuse not to do that change?
well, I think this just harkens back to what I mentioned earlier in the stream. Do you think that everybody is 100 absolute certainty that this particular path road is for everybody? Instead, we can have a multitude of buildings of both of these two, but a little more reduced on the meat side instead
Right.
of trying to eradicate it entirely out,
Well, if you think about it in the way
and
that
just go from there.
if you think about it in the way that the American Dietetic Association and the British Dietetic Association have both actually made statements to say that a vegan diet is suitable for all stages of life and completely nutritionally adequate, like, where's the issue? Like, I mean, I can't see a
I don't know.
I can't see a situation. I don't know of an actual situation where someone requires meat that we cannot solve in the future, even if not now. Because if you think about it, so just say there is. I don't know. I'm definitely not a medical expert, but let's just say there is a certain ailment that requires someone a certain type of meat for a reason. We've got lab meat on the way, so that's a that's a problem which is going to be solved. So what is the reason for us to continue it when we will have lab meat? I mean, we already do. It's just not to market yet, obviously. But when it does, then what's going to be the excuse to carry on then?
Because both of them can still produce the same threshold, and that is food.
Yeah, but we don't. But it's a really unnecessary food. It's like me saying, well, we could go around eating humans.
Actually, it's necessary.
You know, 'cause there's no necessity to it whatsoever, like a zero, because you will literally, especially with lab meat, you will have the identical product. So what would be the point in using all these resources for something that we can make with less resources?
Just because you have one particular option it doesn't render the other option useless.
It doesn't render it useless.
It's still not invalid. It's not null and void. It's not null and void. The option's still up in there.
It's not. Yeah, it's not void, and the option is still there. But don't you think it's a bit of a ridiculous option to even continue when there's a better option which is the same? That seems really counterproductive to what you are ultimately trying to achieve, because you're literally sticking with a system just purely for the sake of sticking with it, without actual evidence that it's at all beneficial. Like, why would you want to keep producing cows and using all those resources when someone in a lab can create the same thing and it tastes the same, look the same, smell the same nutrients, and it's using less resources and could potentially even be cheaper? Why would you even bother? It seems really counterproductive. It's like saying, well, we can make two bikes. They're exactly the same, but this other bike is going to cost £15 million to make. But we're just going to continue making it because it's an option. You see what I mean? You'd be like, well, what's the point? Let's just make the other one.
Yeah. It's a tough answer me question.
Yeah. But you can see where I'm coming from though, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
We got the other one, less suffering. We got the other one, which is more suffering.
Yeah. And but the thing is, it's not just less suffering to the animals.
The thing is that
it's less suffering all round. Like, it's really a solution that works for both animals and us, which is what's so good about it.
The thing is that, I think this goes back to the previous thing where I told you I still view them as food. So at this point,
oh yeah, but I mean, I'm sure a cannibal.
If they're still food.
But I'm sure a cannibal still sees humans as food. But if he's giving another option, you know,
right?
What I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Your personal view of it doesn't justify it. If you see what I mean. So I mean, like, I could look at, I don't know, like, yeah, but I mean, I could look at anything. I could look at, a child walking down the road and be like, food, that's my food, kind of thing. But it doesn't mean that I need to eat it or there's anything. That's just my perception, And I don't blame you for seeing it as food, because if you think about it, what have you done since the day you've been born? You've been brought up to see these things as food. And that's not your fault. That's just society. That's just how you see things. And I don't, like I said, I don't blame you for that. I don't think you're abnormal for thinking that. I think most people, they just see it as food, don't they?
Well, I don't really think it's society per se.
I think it is. I mean, do you think you would naturally? Okay, think about it this way. It's a good question, right? Do you think? I'm sorry if I keep cutting you off, because I just got, me, I've just got 1,000,000,001 things to say. So if I will let you answer, though, obviously. But what I was going to say is, do you realistically think, okay, that if you weren't brought up in a society where eating meat was normal, there's adverts for it everywhere you go, that it's just really normal? I mean, do you think you would ever walk down a country lane and see a cow and think, I'm going to eat that, or feel hungry for that cow? Because I don't think you would. I don't think any of us do. I mean, like, does anyone really walk around and see wild animals and get bloodthirst for those animals anymore?
Well, I would say yeah.
I mean, have you ever had that? Have you had that personally?
Hold on. Okay, so first we need to address two types here:
Okay.
the individual level and a group level. Okay, so at a group level, let's say a bunch of tribes in Africa who obviously see a bunch of deers and they got a bunch of spears. Okay, have you? By the way, did you watch the video I sent you?
Yeah. I watched it a few times actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So this
Um,
is going back to that particular road. Is that to say that they would actually see that as potential food? Then yeah, they do see that as potential food. You can clearly see in the video that they do go out and they do see these and like, oh, there you go, food. They do go out and ready up their weapons and go ahead and hunt these type of animals.
yeah.
So to say that we don't actually do this, yes, we do this
No,
to certain levels.
I know, but what I'm saying is in modern Western society, like you got to remember, they're in a survival situation. They're in a situation where they must kill to live, because if they don't, they're gonna die, and they need to feed their families. But like, I don't see any evidence on whether they would naturally kind of have. You know, I see it as they see it as a food source, but I don't see any evidence that they see that animal and their mouth suddenly waters, such as like a lion would to a gazelle. Like I didn't see any evidence of that. But obviously, yeah, if they're in a survival situation, they're going to kill what they need. But we don't need to do that.
Okay, so we established that we do to certain levels, but since the main variable here in question is that are we living as society? We're not living in a society, okay? But that's still I don't know where your argument comes from at this point, considering we don't live in a society. And then what? That we don't have to do that?
So you don't think that we don't live with options for not to eat meat? You don't live anywhere where you've got rice and beans and fruits and vegetables and all those things, because we've all got access to those. That's all, and that's just the basics of food. Even the most starving countries in the world have those staples, but we have them in excess, along with a lot of other luxuries that other people don't have.
Like meat.
Yeah, but like things that taste like meat but aren't meat.
Okay.
and that's again comes back to the point where when you've got two options and one of them is causing less suffering, why would you choose the one with more suffering just for the sake of it? And remember, there's more suffering to the animals. There's more suffering to the animals. There's more environmental damage, and there is more potential damage to your own health. So there are multiple factors to take into account here.
Mm-hmm. But they're food.
You can't keep them. I know you see it as food. I know you see it as food, but the thing is, right? Let me think this way. If I took you to an animal sanctuary, right, and stood you in front of a cow, are you really just going to look at that cow and go, food? Of course you're not. You'll probably go, oh, it's quite a cool cow.
I would.
I bet you wouldn't. I don't think you're a psycho, right? Like, you clearly have some empathy in you and everything, and you like. I don't think that you. Right. I mean, would you? What do you think? You have literally no thoughts or feelings towards animals at all? Like, you must like have feelings towards maybe dogs or cats or. Yeah.
That would.
I mean,
it would be like
carry on.
Very dishonest of me to say I don't. Right. Obviously, I do.
Yeah. Exactly. And in certain situations, I mean, I'm sure. Have you ever been to you obviously got kids. Have you ever been to a petting zoo or something with them?
Petting zoo.
Yeah, where you can go and like.
Not really, but I've been.
Like stroke the, they have like goats or something, or kind of like small animals you can kind of interact with.
I went to a aquarium where I pet stingrays.
Okay, well, there you go. It's a similar kind of thing. Okay. So you pet them. What did you think of the stingrays? Were they cool? They're cool
Uh,
creatures? Interesting?
I think they're food. Just kidding. So um, I'm in the environment, and then I know that these critters aren't my actual properties. So if I were to harm them some way, I would actually be a penalty
Yeah.
or fined. So yeah, I don't really think them as food, but it's more like the environment that I'm in. So it's more like I don't. It's also not true that I provoke emotions towards them as well. I'm actually pretty neutral and agnostic
Yeah.
towards these stingrays. I'm just petting them because in my mind I'm like, why not?
Yeah. That's fair. But like the thing is as well, like you saw those stingrays and everything, and you might not have, maybe had any huge feelings towards them or anything. But I'm pretty sure if someone, maybe one of your children or something, tried to hurt that stingray, you would tell them not to, right? You wouldn't just let them carry on if they were trying to punch a stingray. I hope not, anyway.
um,
I mean, if you saw any of your children hurt an animal, what would you do? Would you let them continue or would you stop them?
I would actually try to stop them.
Yeah, because you care.
I would. Do I care? Not really.
Of course you do. Otherwise, if you didn't
Well, I
care,
care in the sense that I don't.
if you didn't care, you'd let them continue.
Yeah, I was about. I yeah. What I want to say is that I don't really care for the animal per se, but I want to care that they don't do these kind of actions onto objects that I would see is unnecessary in a certain way.
Okay. So
Ooh, I'm drawing buzzwords here.
okay, so you would say that you would, as far as you're concerned, you have no feeling towards that animal, but you want them to not have an opinion that they can do that to certain things. Is that more what you're saying? I mean, would you go as far to say then that, as far as you're concerned, all animals have no moral value in your eyes? They are amoral.
Amoral, or all animals except for humans?
Yeah, except for humans. Yeah, we're leaving humans out of this, but like non-human animals.
Non-human animals is amoral to me.
Yeah.
Meaning in the fact that they don't really have more value to me. Well, yeah. I wouldn't say all animals are amoral. Obviously, I acknowledge that I can build bonds with animals.
Yeah.
So I can also see that certain people can actually have relationship with certain animals.
Yeah.
To the point where they have bestiality. But it's. I wouldn't take it that far, but like they could be emotional comfort where if I were stressing a lot and I just cuddle with them, they can be used for emotional comfort. So,
yeah, so you see value in them then. You see some value of some sort. You're not completely.
Yes. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying every single animal, but I'm saying certain animals can be met in that particular threshold. Yeah. Certain animals, for me.
Well, let's go over the typical animals that we eat then, which are obviously cows, pigs, chickens, sheep, etc. I mean, I've spent time with these animals, one-on-one, and interacted with them and stuff. And you can build bonds with these animals in the same way that you could with a cat or a dog. They can be kind of show emotion towards you. They can do pretty much all the same things as the other animals. So this is what I was kind of trying to get when we had that first debate is, there isn't really any difference between the animals except for the fact that we've just designated some as food and the rest of them we don't. And there isn't really any reason for that, probably more than they were the most convenient at the time. But if you,
Well, wouldn't that be a reason?
what's that? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Then you have to repeat that.
Oh, you say there wouldn't be any reasons, and then you go on to name a reason, and I say, wouldn't that be then a reason?
Yeah, okay, that would be a reason, but I mean, it's not really a kind of it's not a reason, that kind of differentiates them more than the others in a kind of technical sense. They just happened to be there at the time. It's just bad luck, or they just happened to be the ones that people could grab hold of, kind of thing. But I mean, realistically, we could have eaten any of the millions and millions of animal species on the planet, but we choose not to. We kind of have picked out a few and then just stuck with them.
Well, I don't know if we're choosing not to eat other types of animal. I mean, obviously, we can hunt tigers. We do. I'm not going to say that with absolute 100% certainty that we've never hunted tigers. Obviously, African tribes do have. We do have video footage of African tribes scaring off a bunch of tigers from carcasses. We do have videos of African tribes going around hunting wild animals in the jungle. So it would be most likely that our ancestors in the past in the safari hunted prodigious animals such as tigers and bobcats, whatnot.
Yeah, I can imagine
But
that was the case. Yeah,
I don't think it's, and I don't necessarily think that it's not because we wouldn't want to hunt them. You said. But I think it's more like we reach to a level where we can hunt them. No, not hunt them, but we can get at them at a more sophisticated level. So therefore, the idea of exploitation has expanded.
Yeah.
The technique of exploitation expanded to animals, and from there we have what we know as domesticated animals who are evolved into our particular society. Which, by the way, I might bring up, how will they survive out of a society? These type of domesticated animals who aren't adapted and equipped or evolved to live outside of a society.
How are the animals? So you think about how the animals would survive? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay, so so one thing to bear in mind with as far as how the animals would survive is, people aren't going to go. The world ain't going to go vegan overnight. Which is just a fact, unfortunately, which means that the number of animals is going to just reduce over time. So, for example, like chickens, their maximum lifespan in captive, some people might keep them longer, but the general average of a chicken's lifespan in, the meat industry is only 6 to 8 weeks. So it's not going to take a long time for those numbers to come down. Because, farmers are going to still, when they know that the industry is going to, finally finish, they're still going to have that opportunity to get rid of their last stock, kind of thing. So we're not going to be left with as many as we have now by far. And as well as that, we have plenty of time as well to adapt ideas to, to help those animals that are left. Obviously there's sanctuaries and stuff, which is great, but we might be able to find mutually beneficial systems that can benefit both of us. Like, for example, we still might be able to use, say, cow manure in some way. So we might be able to keep cows on land where we can just let them live out their lives, but we utilize their manure. Or maybe there's certain types of land that we really need to keep the grassland down, and we can maybe introduce animals onto these lands and still. Oh, did you have something you want to say there?
Yeah, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, that's kind of just where I was going anyway. I was just thinking, hopefully that we could develop some sort of coexistence with them, but we definitely wouldn't have even slightly the amount of animals that we have now. If we went vegan overnight today, then I would fully admit, yes, we would have a problem because we've got 60 billion land animals and we don't have anything, any way to care for these animals at this stage. But, as the industry starts to lower the numbers, then these are things that will, naturally come, and and there will be systems in place to save as many as we can.
So I wanted to bring up was what I wanted to bring up was you mentioned about cow manure.
Yeah.
Do you understand do you understand what compost is?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
Plants require compost, not just any kind of soil, to grow.
Well, yeah, they can grow without compost,
So,
but yeah, generally they grow in compost.
yeah, they can, but
yeah.
Yeah. So, with this in mind, okay, how do you think in today's standards about pertaining to plants and a majority rate, how would we implement if we wouldn't have animal pushing and pooping out a bunch of shit onto the ground and utilize them as compost? If we were to not go in and not try to exploit these animals for our beneficial gain for composts.
What do you mean? Do you think, exploiting them for compost?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would hope that wouldn't be the case. We would just let them live naturally and collect it as they went, rather than force them to
but what if they all... Yeah, but what if they all die out and then...
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like, it's the compost isn't an essential thing because, with something like hydroponics or vertical farms, there is no need for this type of compost. They can grow plants without this. So it's not an essential. But what we could do is just to help the cows out is to use their compost as something to benefit them as well as us. That's more what I was thinking. But it's definitely not essential.
But you said before that vertical farming is the future.
Yeah.
Do you have any equations for how we can implement vertical farm at a sufficient level in today's standard?
Well, if you think about
instead of using compost,
if you think about the benefits of vertical farming and the way technology is actually going, I mean, for a start, the good thing about vertical farms, and you could set them up anywhere. You could literally set them up in a warehouse. So it means that we could move all our agriculture a lot more local.
By the way, can you explain what vertical farming is?
Yeah, so basically...
for the audience, maybe?
Yeah, of course. So vertical farming, basically, what they can do is they can grow crops inside, and it's kind of like in stacks. So if you imagine like warehouse shelves almost, it's almost the same as that, but obviously they've got controlled conditions in there. They've been able to make it so they don't need to have the compost. They won't need to use like pesticides and stuff because obviously they're all sheltered away from the bugs. And it means that because obviously they can grow them in stacks, which is the word vertical, you can grow a lot of produce in a very confined space. So it's like putting fields on top of fields, almost. And the good thing about it is you can do it anywhere. So, for example, we could set up, which would be the most ideal situation, is where they would set up vertical farms in every town, wherever we could, so that all the produce is now local. And then, you're getting all your produce from somewhere which is just down the road. We're going to be cutting down transport emissions by doing that and things like that as well. It means all the produce will be reaching the public fresher, which is good. And the way technology is going as well, there's no real reason that it couldn't be developed to the point where we could even be growing stuff in our own homes, so that we could have a small kind of vertical farm within our kitchen which grows certain crops, which would be great. That would be, think how convenient that would be if we were doing that. That's the way technology is going, which is really, really exciting. I mean, at the moment, there's still a lot of development to do, but I know that they've used it in the desert and stuff to show that you can grow things in the desert. I mean, and that's a kind of solution for some of the people that are struggling as well. For people like the Inuits, for example, they might have, not that great access to fruit and veg, but with vertical farming and hydroponics, it's the kind of thing that could be implemented for them. It is a solution that is potentially there, which is great. So I think does that kind of explain it? Do you kind of get a bit of a better idea?
But according to my research, hydroponics still need nutrients. Where would you get the nutrient?
What kind of nutrients do you
You
mean?
can grow without those. What I'm trying to get at is that you say what we touched on before was that we're talking about manure, right?
Yeah,
Cow shit, right?
yeah.
And basically, it can be utilized as nutrient for plants to grow. But we understand that plants can grow without particular objects, such as thick as but it still needs nutrients somehow for it to grow. So
Yeah,
if you're going to have a hydroponic system, you're still going to get nutrients. So you sprinkle the nutrients onto the water. The water then gets passed along into the plants, and the plants can take nutrient from there to grow its particular growth pattern.
yeah.
So where would you get the nutrient?
I'm just having a look because I mean, like, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on hydroponics and things because I'm not. I'm just
I've done research on it.
yeah. I mean, I'm just having a look at the moment to see
Yeah.
what it says. So, I mean, it says
Mm.
for survival, plants need to respire, get
Yes.
moisture, and photosynthesize, and they are in the form of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, which are all readily available in air and water. So that's kind of like the basic nutrients, and it goes into the macronutrients. Um, it's like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, sulfur, magnesium,
Yep.
zinc, boron, iron.
So where do you get those?
Well, the thing is, the thing is,
Got you,
the thing is, they're all,
Chris.
the thing is, I might not be an expert, but they're already doing it, so they're getting them from somewhere. So, and I mean,
But
and a lot of these
you can
things,
also
and to be honest, a lot of these things are already being synthetically made anyway. So if they're being synthetically made, then that's what.
well, I don't. That's really huge leap. I don't think every single nutrients are being
No,
synthetically
I
made.
mean, not all of them, but a lot of them. I
But not
mean, you
necessarily.
can buy iron tablets and you can buy, things like that, and zinc and stuff like that, which doesn't contain any animal products, and calcium.
Okay, but
So I mean,
so not every single one
which
is
one of
being
those?
made.
I mean,
What about those who aren't made?
what I would ask is which one of these can you not synthesize? Would you be able to tell me that?
No, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
because I think like
All I know is that
I'm not going to be able to get too deep. I always like
because
to
you're
be
going
honest.
up with
So I carry on. Carry on.
yeah. Being honest with you, I don't know, but I guess you're going up with the hinged fact that some are synthetically made. Therefore, we are just are you implying that therefore the other nutrients are invalidated in this particular scenario?
No, 'cause, the thing is, if you think about it, like where are animals getting their nutrients from? They're getting them from plants. So it means that there must be a plant source for these nutrients originally, and not every single plant is growing in an
Actually,
air is growing in animal poo either. There are ones that are growing in
well,
they're growing in very remote places where there aren't
actually,
even any animals around. So it kind of shows that we don't necessarily need.
um, okay. So how do you break down the plants to obtain these nutrients?
Well, the thing is, this is what I can't tell you this. 'Cause I'm not an expert in
Okay.
hydroponics,
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
yeah, because
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to just
but
give you a load of
I just
information
like
that was incorrect. But I'm kind of saying, so we can say that I don't know
well,
that, but I mean, would you say that if that was the
okay, yeah,
case,
yeah.
if that was the case, and I am correct, and all those things, that sounds like a good option, then, doesn't it?
Come on, Chris. Well, first, Chris, I forgot what it was again. Hydroponics or aquaponics.
Yeah,
The most optimized situation that everybody would opt out for a more sustainability effort, would be aquaponics.
yeah,
Everybody should look up aquaponics. I personally believe is the most efficient out of all of these ones. So what aquaponics is it actually utilizes a bunch of fish poo for
right,
the nutrients to be recycled back into the plants. So the idea that we have to exploit these fishes and feed them certain critters or certain worms or certain nutrients so they can poop out the poop back into the plants. It's this goes back into the manure part where we had to exploit the animals for sustainable and for self-sustaining at an optimal level for the plants to survive. So again, then we're coming back to nutrients. Where do we get it? Where do we get them from? In aquaponics, we get the nutrients from fish poop, the exploitation of fish. From hydroponics, we can utilize without any fish, because if you use fish, it'll be aquaponics. But hydroponics, you can just get the nutrients and the water, combine them together, and from there, let them sit inside the water with the nutrients. Then again, I pose you the question, where do we get the nutrients from?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I can't answer the question of where we get the nutrients from. But then I don't know whether, I don't know much about aquaponics either, so I couldn't comment on that. But I mean, if we've got other options like hydroponics, vertical farming, etc., then we can look to see which, they're all stuff that can be advanced with technology, which is the thing. Technology is a great thing that we can use to our advantage. And I can't see any big problem here that can't be solved. They're all kind of questions that can be asked, but I can't see anything here that I'm like, well, we can't solve that, so therefore we need to use an animal. You see what I mean? Like nothing's
well, I think
jumping
the animal's
out
the
of
best bet.
What's that, sorry?
I said, well, the animal is the best bet that I can see so far, unless you can provide the equation. Because I think you're going off on the idea that
but you can't say the animals are the best bet right now. But no, but you can't say the animals are the best bet when you hadn't also looked into the other two options prior. And you'd have to provide the evidence of that.
Actually, for aquaponics, the best bet is actual animal exploitation. I mean, not even animal exploitation. We're going to go down all the way from a fish level and minimize it all the way down to a worm level. So the worm would actually, we have to exploit these worms for nutrients. So at that point, to say that, and to tackle your point, you're saying that this is the best bet. I'm not saying this is the best bet. I'm saying this is the best bet we have now that I can see. Until you can present the argument that there is other possibilities, which is coming from your position, which you must prove to be true. I'm not taking in your position. You have to prove it to me. Just because I've just looked up. Therefore, my position is invalidated.
I've just looked up vegan hydroponic nutrients, and there's a few people listing quite a few different vegan plant food formulas that are designed to meet the needs of all plants through every stage of growth. So they exist. It's already there.
Okay.
There's one called General Organics by a company called BioThrive, if you wanted to look that up. There's also one from a company called Down to Earth.
Chris, I don't think you... Well, I guess I know that you're not very, knowledgeable in this position.
Yeah.
And it might seem like I'm taking advantage of this, but...
No, I don't think at all.
Sure, you can say that you can say that we have these options where we can get these nutrients from a vegan place. But then again, here comes the other variables, and that is that sufficient enough to produce a healthy plant?
Why would
because like I told you before, with the fish taking in the nutrients with a type of food they eat, the poop comes back out. And this is just going back to I think it was biology, whatever it is, but the poop comes out is as good. It goes into agriculture itself, and they're talking about manure. Manure is a very, there are different types of manure. There are healthy manures, shitty manures, just bad manures in general.
Yeah.
It entirely depends on what you're trying to feed, for the subject to poop these things back out. So the nutrients needs to be at a sufficient level.
Yeah. Okay.
So can you demonstrate to me that these vegan nutrients are at a sufficient level than the exploitation of certain animals that poop in and requires to take other
think about it this way.
Think
about it this way. Plant nutrients are good enough for the animals to eat. So why are the nutrients coming from animals that were originally from plants going to be better than direct from the plant source itself?
Chris, I don't think that tackles the situation.
Of course it does, because that's where animals are getting their nutrients from. Animals get their nutrients from plants. So therefore, the direct source of all these nutrients are plants. So how can the plant nutrient itself, which is getting used, which seems to be the case, it seems to be natural plant nutrients. I'm looking at the website at the moment. How are they going to be worse than being nutrients that have been filtered through an animal?
Chris, okay, first of all, the first thing is you're saying that how are they going to be worse? My position is not merely stating that they're worst. I'm simply agnostic in determining if they're better in the current replacement. If you can demonstrate that to me, sure.
Yeah.
Secondly, saying that the animals take in the plants, okay, the animal that takes in the plant, therefore we should just cut out the animal and then just apply plants. This goes back to what I said to you. How do we extract these nutrients? Okay, obviously we have nutrients we have vegan nutrients from plants or whatever. Okay, and then we're going back to the original premise. How optimized are they, okay, compared to the current standard? So there's this little particular premise that you need to defeat first. Until then, I can accept your position that therefore we have other options that isn't exploiting animals. Therefore, we just take that one.
Okay,
no, you gotta fulfill the threshold first.
So just so I can understand, then, if I can show you that the nutrients used in like hydroponics or vertical farming that are coming from plants are of equal nutrient quality as the ones that we are currently using from composting, then you'll be happy to concede that that's fine. Is that correct? Just so I know what I'm looking for. So you basically want to know if the nutrients that I am proposing being used are of equal quality to what we are using now.
I don't know.
Well, you need to define your question. Like, is that what you're asking me? Because I can go away and look that up and get back to you on that. I'm simply agnostic in this. I don't know, Chris. You tell me. Well, that's what I'm going to do. You know, I will do that. You know, I will find this out.
I know you will, and I'm ready for you.
But anyway, right? Let's get things back on track, because obviously none of us are experts in hydroponics or any of these things, right?
Right.
So let's just. Okay. But I've already shown how there are options here, okay, that are better and potentially more sustainable than the current animal agriculture system that we currently have. So let's go right back and get to the point. So what is stopping you from going vegan?
That is the question you asked me.
Yeah,
I knew you'll get to that.
You know I'm going to get to it. Let's just get to the crux of it. So you've got all this new information now. Okay, none of it which is really backed up on your side. I've kind of just strengthened my argument even more. So. Because you know what I want. What I want you to do, like I said, and I'm not expecting you to go vegan straight away. I just want you to try it, because I just want you to see for yourself that how easy it is and how like convenient it is, and maybe how good you feel doing it. That's kind of what I want, just to kind of get an idea. And I'm kind of interested in more what your kind of reasons would be not to try it, and then I can overcome those things. Because is there a reason not to try something?
Oh no,
that's a good question.
Try vegan. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is this your argument right now?
Yeah, totally.
Just 100%. Try vegan.
I'm not going to ask you to go vegan. I'm asking you to try it.
I guess I can try it.
Because I'll just be interested just to know how you feel after doing it. That's why, because I kind of think that it's the kind of thing you can talk, we can talk about this forever and we can go over these different things. But I do think you get a very different perspective when you're actually doing it. And then suddenly you kind of go, oh, right, okay, this isn't actually that bad. This is doable, and then it kind of just gives you a bit of perspective on it all. Suddenly it's like, okay, well, I actually found that not that difficult. And I can't, then that suddenly makes it, you kind of think, well, yeah, if other people could do this as well, if I could do it, and from there, really.
What if I don't try it?
What if you don't?
Are you gonna scorn me?
Then I'm just gonna nag you until you.
Are you gonna lecture me? Dang it! I'm doing it.
If everyone wants to get Dahdiy to try veganism, just spam Dahdiy go vegan in the chat, and we'll see what happens. Honestly, what have you got to lose by trying it? Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen?
I don't know.
Because the thing is, right?
My lifestyle is going to change.
Your lifestyle's going to change. Yeah, but only for like a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna.
It seems like I will be a lot more pickier.
It'd be like a
lot more pickier when I go to grocery stores.
It'd be a fun experiment, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody's typing, I should go vegan.
Maybe you should, like, you could even get your kids to, to help as well. Like, be like, right, we're gonna try something, and we're all gonna try and eat vegan for whatever, X amount of time, and make it like a fun thing.
So, Chris, are you telling me you're not taking this seriously?
What do you mean?
You just want me to do it, and we're doing this all hunky dory.
No, because like I said,
you want us to do this together, like it's an experiment.
Well, always here's the thing, right? You know, my ultimate goal is to make you go vegan forever. You know that, like that's my goal with everybody. You know that, right? But like, like sometimes, and I think people like you, sometimes you need to just go slowly into some things. Like sometimes you can't just do something overnight because you need to have that understanding and that click to be able to commit to something. So I see
what you're trying to get at.
You see what I mean? So sometimes just kind of putting, dipping your foot in and and going like, oh, I'm just going to try this, is just a good way to kind of just get a little bit more knowledge, a little bit of experience. Because then you, for example, okay, you might go vegan for say a week and then come back to me and say, right, well, I went vegan for a week and I really missed eating this, or like, I bought this and it was so expensive or something like that. And then I can come back to you and say, okay, cool. Well, you should have probably, bought this one instead, which is cheaper. And if you missed this, there's this product. Maybe give that a go. And you go, okay, cool. Like that's, and you kind of learn as you go, because the hardest bit about going vegan is just relearning that supermarket experience. Really, looking at different parts of the menus, looking at different shelves in the supermarket. Once you get that out the way, it becomes second nature and it's normal. It's absolutely normal. Like, I don't even think about it anymore. Like, it's so normal to me. I just get up and be like, what do I want for breakfast? I'm going to have some pancakes. Like, cool, cook up some pancakes. What I'm going to have for my dinner later? Oh, I'll make a chili and put it in some tortilla wraps and with loads of spices and guacamole and, or get a pizza or something, because I know where to get all these things, and it's just become normal now.
Right.
And it's the same. Like I think you don't have to obviously say where you were based, but I believe you do live in a city, don't you? I don't think you're not rural, are you? You're not out in the. Yeah. So you've got like access to things. Especially if you've got like Whole Foods near you or something like that. Christ, Whole Foods is ridiculous. It's insane. Yeah. It's the only place I've ever been where I took pictures of the fridges because I was so impressed.
Oh, yeah.
I had to show people when I got home. I was just like, oh my God, there's so much vegan food. This is amazing.
Did you really do that?
Yeah.
I think that's surprising.
Yeah, because so the reason I did it is one, there was a whole fridge full of vegan pizzas. And in the UK at the moment, we've only got 2. Like, and you can't get them everywhere. Like, you can still make pizza or you can still order pizza, like, pretty easily. But I was just so, like, impressed at the range. I was like, oh my God, there's like 20 different types of pizza. Like, this is the future right here. So yeah, I had to send some pictures back. It's a bit lame, I know, but you know, I'm easy to please. What can I say?
Well, yeah, man. I feel like you're. Oh dang it! I don't want to assume, but like you are like a happy-go-lucky dude, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I don't see any reason.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I don't see any reason not to be like, you know, like I genuinely, honestly, and this isn't a lie at all, but genuinely, since I've gone vegan, I have found that I've just been a happier person. Like just in the way that I'm, you know,
Oh, come on. You could use that.
No, I do, honestly. No, for the reason is that I've always been a big animal lover. I mean, it might be different for you, but like I've always been a big animal lover ever since I was a kid, and you know, just kind of realizing what happened to the animals, and then knowing that I'm now actively doing my best to not be a part of that, and I'm doing my best to help them, is really rewarding. I genuinely wouldn't change anything. You know, I wake up in the morning and every time I eat, it feels good because I'm like, I know that I'm not partaking in these things, and I don't know. I feel like I'm doing something for the world. I feel like I'm being a positive influence on it, I guess. And that's a nice thing to feel. It's good. I'm not saying you're going to feel like that, because obviously if you don't feel the same about animals that I did, then it might not be the same for you. But for me, it definitely was. It was a big thing. That's why I'm so chill.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
This is like I was watching the live stream that you were with Friended, and he got pissed.
Yeah.
He said he was ready to go.
I
killed a bunch of animals.
I know. I think
the reason why I said, yeah, and I think when he said whatchamacallit, when I say like, oh man, really, Chris, you're gonna give me that? You know, I think it's going back to what he says. He's saying like, you know, you're kind of like taking the religious route and giving you like religious diatribes, religious talking points, and that's what I feel like you're doing to me. You know, in a way, I can't really. Yeah. You see, I can't really give you that absolute certainty, yes, because me too. I too have experiences with, you know, not so good experiences with like egomaniacs, religious people come around like, believe in my shit or you're fucking retarded. You know,
the thing is, dude, really, religion, right? Okay, religion is looking to try and save you as an individual. Okay, they're going like, you need to be saved. You know, if you become religious, then you'll be saved and you'll go to heaven. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I want to help these animals over here. They're the ones that want to be saved. I'm not trying to save you. I'm trying to save the animals because they're the ones that are getting fucked over. I'm just trying to get you. Basically, I'm actually asking you not to do something, not to do something. I'm just saying, can you not do that rather than can you do? You see what I mean? So it's quite different. It's not the same as with a religion. I'm not asking you to do something. I'm asking you not to do something.
Wouldn't that like go into the idea of like a Christian coming up to you and telling you like, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that because, you know, my religion?
No, but why are they saying that? They're saying you shouldn't do this because you will go to hell and you won't get into heaven. They don't say it about anyone else, do they? It's always about you as an individual, and you know, if you have sin, you will get the hellfire, or you know, whatever bollocks they talk about. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying, can you please stop doing this? Because baby chicks are getting put in a mincer. It's not very nice. Could you stop doing it, please? Because they shouldn't be getting hurt. I think it's a little bit different. I'm trying to stand up for some some creatures that are getting screwed over. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, make you like go to heaven, basically.
Wait a minute. Can't you also line that with religion as well? Saying that I don't want you to do this because, you know, I'm trying to save the world in a way so we can go and worship this all being who will eventually come and save us one day.
Well, okay, would you say
for the betterment of society? They feel.
Would you say the same
They feel
thing?
like they're saving society as much as you're saving society.
Okay, well, would you say the same thing, right? Let's just change the situation slightly. Okay, so there's a load of kids getting abused. Okay, and I'm telling you that, like, please don't buy this product from this company because the money is going towards kids getting abused. And I'd really love for you to stop doing that. There's some other alternatives of these products that you can go and buy. They're readily available. You can go and get them. They might even be healthier. They're better for you. You might feel great having them. Would you think that I was being religious then, or would you think I'm just trying to stand up for the kids?
I think you're standing up for the kids.
Yeah, and all I'm doing is this. In this case, is just you're swapping the kids for the animals. That's it. I'm just standing up for the animals. I'm not trying to convert you to religion. Because to be honest, veganism and vegan, I cannot wait for the world to eliminate the term veganism and vegan. Because as far as I'm concerned,
why is that?
Because as far as I'm concerned, being vegan and not, partaking in animal exploitation and stuff should just be being a decent person. It should just be normal. It's like the term feminist. We don't need the word feminist. Like, you should just be nice to women. You know what I mean? Like, just be nice to them and just be a person. Like, we don't need that term. And that's kind of what I'm hoping that it will just become. That it's just being a reasonable person.
Your audio just cut out.
Oh, sorry. What did you hear? What was the last thing you heard?
Your audio just cut out.
Oh, sorry, man. What was the last thing you heard?
You said just be a decent person, and then you go on saying that veganism and vegan is blah 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 blah.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I think it should be eliminated in the same way that the term feminist should be eliminated. I mean, we're talking about feminist in the best sense, not the extreme sense, but in the way that women should be equal with men, kind of thing. We should be equals. I think that we don't need to call ourselves a feminist. I think being a feminist is just being a good person. It's just being just a decent person. I don't think we need a term necessarily for that. And I think the veganism should be the next kind of thing for that. We just don't harm animals needlessly, like when we don't need to. It should just be a normal thing that we just do automatically. We shouldn't need to give ourselves a term, like a pat on the back for doing that. Like, because being vegan is a non-action. Ooh. It's a non-action. We're choosing not to partake in something. We're not doing something extra. So we're just being moral. I just see it being just a general reason. But so that's why I can't wait for that word to be eliminated, because I don't think we need it. I think we just generally just be people, and that's what we should do.
I think some vegans on the chat might be mad.
Oh, well, with me or with you?
They might get mad because they're like, "No, Chris, we're gonna take every word. Don't try and erase it."
No, because the thing is, like, if people disagree with me in the chat, like, you know me, I like to speak honestly and stuff. Like, I cannot wait until we never have to call ourselves vegans again, and we're just people, and we're just classed as normal people. And then people that do harm animals, they're the ones that will have a term for them. Like for example, racists. For example, we don't have a term for people that aren't racists. We don't say you're a pro-colorist or something, do we? No, we. Like, non-racists are just decent people. They're just people, and the people that continue to be racist, they're racist. I think it's quite weird that we have a term when we shouldn't have. But yeah, that's my opinion anyway. But yeah, going back to the gist of the question though, you going vegan for X amount of time, thoughts?
I don't know. You cut out. I just heard you laugh, and I just started laughing.
So yeah, like we like I said, you know the goal. I hope I've explained it well enough to show that I'm not some religious fanatic, because I'm certainly not. I'm just a guy that likes animals and doesn't want chicks to get minced and pigs to get gassed, because I think it's a horrible thing to do to another living being. And
I get where you're coming from. You know, you can say in the sense that there were people who are, slavery abolitionists who are very adamant about that position.
Yeah.
And that at that time, obviously, those who are pro-slavery are going to accuse them of trying to, spill their talking points about how slavery is wrong, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, right? Like you're being abolitionist.
Yeah.
Abolitionist.
Exactly that. Yeah. Really good example. Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. But what do you say to those vegans who keep saying, dude, you are a murderer. You are immoral.
Okay,
Quit being inconsistent, man.
Okay, well, I've actually got a lot to say on those kind of things. Like, I don't think that we should be going around, like, doing that personally. Because the thing is, I don't think that, I think 99.9% of people that eat meat are not bad people at all. They're just people that have been brought up to do something which, I think is wrong. That's basically what it is. But they're not doing it on purpose. They're not doing it because they're trying to be purposefully horrible to animals or anything like that. Literally, from the moment they were born, they're only getting done to them what their parents' parents did to their parents and so on. It's just normal. It's completely normal. And people shouldn't be... shamed for doing that. But what we should be doing is educating people and getting people to realise that what they are doing is harmful. And it's a really difficult thing to do as well, because everyone does it and it becomes so normal, it is really hard to get into someone's brain and scramble around and be like, well, hold on, this thing you've done for your entire life and that your parents told you could do and their parents said was fine. Now I'm telling you it's wrong, and that's a really difficult thing for some people to get their head around. But it doesn't mean they're a bad person if they don't understand it or anything. Some people just take time. They just need to work it out in their head because it's a mind fuck. Let's to be fair, that's what it is. It's like I'm literally trying to re-scramble people's brains. It's a very psychological battle. Yeah, but when people get it. Like, obviously, when you do get it, like I get it and the majority of people in this chat get it, you almost look back and go, how the fuck did I not get that? How did I not understand? It seems really weird. It does, honestly. I find it really weird now. I look back and be like, how on earth was I eating an egg? Like, what the hell? It seems like such an odd thing to me now. I'm just like, this is so weird. Why have I been eating dead cows? Like, it just seems like the most bizarre thing. But I mean, obviously to you that hasn't got that click, that connection, to you it just seems it's still food, and I understand that. And this is why I've given you so much chance where some other people haven't, because I get that some people need time. They need to just be spoken to like a person. Like, this is why I speak to you like I do. I speak to you just like a person, like I would anyone else, like you're a mate. You
see, every vegan in the chat should take note. That was very passionate. That is called speaking from the soul. Like I told you before, and I say it again. You are like a brother from another, like cousin. Right there. Just as much as I want to speak passionately about how trying to save world hunger.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really good, man.
Wow.
Oh, thank you. This is why I speak to you, because I really appreciate the fact that you actually hear me out. And unlike other people, we don't end up in a big slanging match or anything. We just chat and question things and go over things, and I think that's great. Like, I think that's the way it should. That's the way we should be doing things. We should just be talking, because that's what's required. Conversation. We don't need to. Like, some people just go on and on about the most mundane crap. Like, the amount of people that they'll just have an argument for like ever about like the definition of the word murder. And I'm like, just fuck's sake, someone's getting killed. Let's move on. Let's move on. Like, yes, there's dictionary definitions, but I don't give a shit. Things are getting killed. That's all we need to know. I can't be bothered with that kind of conversation anymore. I just want to go, look, this is how I feel. How do you feel? Let's discuss things. How can we come to some agreements? How can I overcome things that you're concerned about? And and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, that's how I roll. That's how I roll.
So, this is gonna go off the sidetrack a little bit, but like,
okay.
You do know by now where your princess is, right?
What's that?
Well,
Sorry.
obviously you do, right?
What is it? Sorry.
I said, oh, I said, do you know who's Banana Warrior
Oh
Princess?
yeah, yeah. Of
You
course.
do, right?
She's actually a really really good friend of mine.
Yeah, I was wondering because she will never speak to me again. Like, so one cousin to another, Chris.
I think there's quite a
I'm
few
gonna ask
people.
you.
There's quite a few people. Like honestly, like even when I announced I was having a debate with you, people were just like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, I hate that guy." Like I don't know what you've done. Honestly, I think I don't know.
I know.
I haven't seen what you've been like in other things. So I don't know. I mean, you've always been pretty like manageable with me. Yeah, I haven't seen
Okay,
any major problems. But
okay, look, okay, look. Let me elaborate on that. Okay,
yeah, yeah, go for
so
it.
well, the first time I talked to you guys, right? The first time I talked to you guys, I'm a pretty like I told you how I assume things about you, like being a nice guy, being kind of patient. That's who I am too. This is why I'm saying the quote with a brother from another cousin. So I'm the same standard with the same personality. I'm coming in, and I just had a discussion with two vegans before, vegan foot soldier and vegan revolution,
Okay.
and it was a pretty good discussion. Yeah, it was pretty okay discussion, and we after that, like Leanne, ding ding ding, this is the culprit. Leanne was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do a live stream." I'm like, "I just came on," and I'm like, "Okay, so yeah," and just getting the kids into resting mode, and then just hop online. And if I know Darren's still on the fucking chat, so Darren, you better fucking listen. Like fucking Darren just threw me off guard in the first fucking push. Like these fuckers just started mentioning about cows and humans, and I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, I don't know where to go from there because I was like, okay, why are you even mentioning this? But I don't want to get into an argument with you about this,
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah, of
humans being
course.
omnivores. So we moved on, and essentially everybody agreed that we are omnivores to a certain extent. I'm just sitting there kind of thrown off. I'm like, why did I just do that? It's like this guy just pushing and pulling my emotions. And then Leanne, and then after that is over, I'm really still kind of confused, before I get into my arguments. And Leanne is just this guy. I don't know what to say. The guy was just coming at me, with just different types of, well, not different types, but just logic left and right. And before I knew it, I'm like, okay, we're going on to the deep ends, and we started talking about how, oh yeah, we were stuck on my original premise, because we can,
Yeah.
and the disclaimer is that I'm saying because we can, it's not to say that because we should do it, I also elaborated this full definition in the second debate I had with him with Ellie. Hey Ellie. um, so yeah, so just because we can, I'm not saying that we shouldn't. And I think everybody, I'm not going to say you, but
Yeah.
everybody started thinking like, well, so we should do it. We should do it. I think you did ask me that, right? But
Yeah.
I had to keep clarifying myself, and yeah, and it just went off the rails from there. And everybody was just like, um, to be honest, I was kind of frustrated,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shoot, where do I go from here, And then my voice started projecting a little bit louder and louder. I'm like, okay, hold on. Wait a minute. 1 second. In my mind, I didn't say that, but in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, hold on. And then Banana Warrior Princess just kicked in with Salivate. I'm like, what? and yeah, after that, I'm like, okay. So, and then we just went back to Liam, and he did the name to trait shit thingy again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, great. Okay, we're kind of back on track. And then after that, uh, I no matter how much I try to explain to the guy, he keeps saying that this is the only conclusion that will eventually lead into, and that is we're only eating because of taste pleasure. And if you're coming from a logical standpoint, that's just not the case. Coming back to the idea of probability, way back that you and I just talked about, in the stream.
Yeah. Well,
you can't just be 100% certainty that we are doing it for taste pleasure.
Well, just going to interject.
Obviously, we are eating.
The kind of debates you were having is kind of the reason I have the debates that I have now, because we've actually all been talking about this, in the fact that when you kind of get into these very logical based arguments, and they're just based purely on the logic, they don't tend to go that far and come to any sort of kind of end point or any sort of result at all, further than just normally getting stuck on one thing that everyone's just going to argue about for about an hour, like just one thing, kind of like you were saying there. And even Liam as well, we've all kind of been saying that we want to have more conversations now like this, like the way we're having now, because we're kind of feeling maybe the same way that you were, that they just end up in just a pointless circle sometimes of just going over the same point again and again and again and again. And I think if you speak to people in just like a general way, like the way I chat to you, like, I'll chat to you if we were going to the pub and having a pint or something, then you're just gonna just have a bit more like, just a better conversation and just a more constructive conversation. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that you could admit that you've learned more about veganism in the last 2 chats that we've had that you probably ever had before, prior to that. You probably know more about how we feel, what happens to the animals, environmental stuff, where before it was just arguing, name the trait kind of thing, which is great if you're into that. If you're into the logic and you want to argue the logic, go for it. Name the trait is a great argument, but as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
I disagree.
Yeah. You can disagree, obviously. But I mean, as far as making people go vegan, which is the whole reason I do any of this, I don't find name the trait works for me in that sense. It's a great tool to kind of show contradictions and stuff, when need be. But it's not the crux of my argument. I think there's so much more to it, and that's why I like talking like I do. And I think you'll find that a lot of the other people that you spoke to before, you'll see they'll probably start having these kind of conversations now, which is good, which will probably something you'll be happy about.
I think what I wanted to ask you was, are you still there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, still here.
Oh, okay. This fucking dairy on the chest, so fucking.
Oh, Darren.
Okay, so it's distracting me. Yeah. What I wanted to ask you before was, from one cousin to another, me and Banana Warrior Princess, maybe you can convince her to do a live stream with me.
She might if she comes on with me. Maybe I can convince her.
Really?
I can ask. I mean, she's definitely. I'm not going to say she's keen, because that would be an understatement.
I think she has some disdain against me.
Yeah, I don't know what you've done to her.
It's like,
I don't know what you've done to her. She's a nice girl.
I don't know either. Yeah, tell her this. I think she's really beautiful, and that the things that she do is I see the same potential coming from you. Okay. And that's.
I'll speak to her. I'll speak to her, and maybe I'll get her to listen back on this debate, and then she can see. I'll be like, look, this is the kind of debate we want to have. Would you be up for doing that? The thing is, I think a lot of people, and this is just what this is what everyone else says as well, and this is what everyone always says to me, and this is why I'm really hoping they're not right here. Is a lot of people just say that they won't talk to you because they feel like you're wasting your they feel like you're wasting their time, because they feel that you won't make any sort of change.
That's what it is.
Or you're not open to it. That's what people say anyway.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's not true. I'm hoping you're.
Why do they think that?
I don't know, but maybe people in the chat can say. People in the chat, we're having an open discussion here. Get your beef with Dahdiy out right now. That sounds a bit weird. Get your beef out for
We can
Dahdiy.
all do awesomes here.
Definitely don't get your beef out for Dahdiy.
Get your beef out for Dahdiy.
Yes, that's a bit disturbing.
Please do.
Here's a question, right? Do you think that you are open to change? Do you think that if we, are you actually becoming a little bit more understanding and seeing and are you understanding the vegan argument? I guess I'm not saying you have to 100% agree with it right now, but I mean, are you at least kind of seeing our point now?
Yeah. So let me try to say it. All right. So from what my intuition is telling me, my spidey senses, what they're trying to tell me is, are you guys like? Obviously, you guys are coming. The example that I did before, with the slavery and the abolition, is a perfect one, right?
Yeah.
You guys feel like the animals are being victimized to the extent that in which victimized, and we have evidence of this on video, and that is something we don't want to strive in society. Just crazy action onto these type of objects, and to give these objects worth, it's more like these objects are sentient beings, and from there, just don't try to harm them. It's just as simple as that. And why, and then you guys kind of feel sick and tired of meat eaters presenting the idea of, because they're for food, and you guys come back with but we got other options. We can do this, guys. In a society, we can clearly, well, I don't want to assume 100%. Clearly, everybody can, but in a society that, especially in the Western world, we can potentially do this to the extent where we can go and eat different options. We don't have to resort to this kind of violence that what we deem today is something very villainous, very heinous onto an object. We want a more society where we could come and have qualms together and just be, let's say, I don't want to say morally obligated, but just be human,
Yeah. You sounded so much like a vegan then.
Oh, dang it. I knew it. We're both cousins.
I was like, Daddy's gone vegan.
you're shit. Maybe that's true.
I'm really glad that you have that understanding now to get it, which is great, because it does take people some time to understand that, and they see, I don't know, people just don't get it because it is such a removal from what is seen as normal and everything, and it takes people a bit of time just to get their head around it. But then once you get your head around it, then it kind of makes sense. You're like, okay, well, yeah, like they're just trying to do something nice for the world. Not trying to definitely not trying to make any sort of negative impact. That's like the complete opposite of what we want. We're trying to we're trying to make a positive impact for everybody. And that's kind of the goal. This is why I think you should try it, you see, because I think that'll be the next step in understanding. I think like you kind of can relate now. You kind of understand our viewpoint, and I think just kind of having that little bit of a taster to be like, right, I'm going to jump in just for, even if it's for a short amount of time, will just give you a little bit more enlightenment. I mean, even if you come back with a load more questions afterwards, that's great. More than happy to answer them. But that's good. This is where it's kind of down to you now. I mean, I can only do so much, and I can't force anyone to do anything. As much as I'd like to be able to force the world sometimes, but all I can do is give people the information and go, well, just give it a go, and what's the worst that's going to happen? But it's like pushing someone on a roller coaster, I guess. Like,
Right.
There's somewhat they've got to want to a bit inside them to do it, and I can only prompt you so much to do that.
What I wanted to get at was, put on a show for like for instance, arguments for the health aspect, arguments for the ethic aspects,
Yeah.
and arguments for the environmental aspects.
Yeah.
But you came in here with a different, path, and I don't know. I think it actually breached into a more humble and nice harmony between us both, instead of trying to grab at each other's throat. Although we did a little bit on the vertical farming part. But,
yeah, but not too much. It's still pretty tame, really.
Yeah. And yeah, you guys, you vegans on the channel, do you guys see now? Did you guys understand? I hope you guys do. Just kind of cringy, but it's cool.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, man. That's what I wanted to say. I got a bunch of notes prepared for all these arguments, but you did it again. Like you said before on our last stream, you did it with the curveball again.
I love them curveballs. That's what I'm about.
Yeah.
Throw in the curveballs and just screws everybody up.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because the thing is, right? It's like I want to, I want to be, I enjoy talking to you about veganism and stuff. Obviously, I think we do have some really constructive chats. But the thing that I'm kind of wondering is how much more I can say or do. You see what I mean? There's only so much that I can tell you, but and without you kind of taking that on board and doing something with it, before that I just have to kind of just go, well, I can't move any further than this. You know what I mean? That's kind of my only thing. I just
right.
Because we could have a billion conversations, but in the end, if it's not going to progress anywhere, then as much as I enjoy chatting to you, and you'll always be welcome on the live streams and stuff,
Thank you.
It's just working out where we go from here, kind of thing. I don't want us to just fruitlessly discuss things, and I mean, as much as it's valuable maybe for the audience and stuff, that's great, but it'd be good to have some sort of ending. I mean, like I said, I even appreciate blunt honesty. If you're just if you came out and said to me look, I don't think I could ever do it, and it's just never going to happen, then I'd just have to accept it, as much as I don't want that to happen. But I'd also like to, if that isn't the case, to at least know that there's something, that we can still move forward with this, and there's still a valid point for us to be having these discussions, if you see what I mean.
I wanted to ask, if anybody can jump in, did you find any particular seed, with the growth time and stuff like that I asked before in the live stream? How to grow food with which particular seed the fastest?
Oh no! To be honest, I completely forgot you said that. I remember you mentioning it now. I think someone said potato. I think someone said potatoes was quite a fast one. I mean, if anyone in the chat knows, actually, so it was. Yeah, you're basically wondering what crops grew the fastest, weren't you? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got some ideas to start growing up some food, but got to get up on those seeds,
Yeah.
So that's a little bit off track though.
Yeah,
but
no, that's fine. I mean,
I think Chris, I'll tell you.
Yeah, carry on.
Tell you what, it's.
Carry on.
I think the really huge part is that just basically that part is Because, dude, oh my God, you see, this might just go into what I want to do in my life again, but
Yeah.
it is exactly just that, just growing the food is what will strive me even further. I haven't said that you haven't done that before, but if you want to drive me even further,
Yeah.
with this absolute yes, give me that details. I'll say too, I'm on it. This is great news for me. I can do this. Um, I'm just ready on that path, just going on and just in my own little world that I said, yes, we do have uh, potential to feed the world with this type of plants, this type of seed, and with my mechanism,
Well, we've got some
we
answers
can
in the chat at
potentially
the
spread
moment.
his sentiments.
We've got a few people writing something. Tim
Yeah.
said potatoes. We've also got radishes, onions, baby carrots, spinach, and kale are apparently really fast. Kale. What's that?
Kale is fast?
I d-
Okay, so I think everybody needs to keep in mind that all this is going to be happening in a vertical farm technique. So everything is going to be grown with, first I'm going to test with hydroponics, and then it might be, you might not like this, but I'm going to go and I'm going to move into aquaponics. So I'm going to have to utilize some animal to do this at a more optimal level. But overall, it's if like this, I'm just saying that if you want me to, not if you want me to, but me just going to that next stage, where I at least get me to reduce my consumption of meat at like at 80% level or something.
yeah.
At the level I'm at, I'm like, I don't know, 75%.
Just so I can just so I can understand you though, why is it such a big factor to know this when like you've still got access to fruits and vegetables that you could just buy. So why would you not? Why would you have to kind of wait it out? I'm just interested. I don't really know what the reasoning behind that would be. Why you would have to do it with these that you grow yourself, but you couldn't just go to the shop and just buy them anyway.
Yes. So I think this is going into what I wanted to do in life.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear that?
No. I mean, I understand that. I understand this goes from what you want to do, but like, I'm kind of wondering why in the meantime, there's a barrier for you not to be able to try these things in the meantime, because there's no real barrier there. It's instead of waiting for you to set up a hydroponic or an aquaponic system, you just pop into your supermarket and pick up some different food. You know what I mean? There seems to it kind of feels like there's I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like there's an additional barrier there somewhere. It feels like there's something else.
Yeah.
Can you understand why I would think?
I think this harkens. Yeah. I think this just harkens back to it. Yeah, that I still view food as food.
Yeah.
In this particular standard, meat is still food. Plant-based is still food. Fruit is still food. It just comes back to that idea, and unless you want to go back in circles into that, well, I don't think it's in circles. I think we were very productive, but that's that. I think that's the barrier that you're referring to.
Yeah. How
My
is it?
hunch is telling me that.
How is this? Okay, this is a nice mid step. Okay, because I've got you to watch a documentary. That was great. We've had another chat. How about you? How about you go out and buy, when you go next shopping, you buy a few of the vegan options, and you can report back and tell us what you think of them. So you're not going vegan. You're just literally picking up a few of the options so you can see what they're like. Maybe some people can give you some recommendations on the best ones to get, so we're not wasting your money or your time. And then you can see what you think and see. That's a nice easy one.
Well, I love potatoes.
Well, I mean, potatoes are fine.
I love potatoes.
You can eat as many potatoes as you want. I mean, just out of interest, what is your kind of normal meals, for example? I mean, what kind of meats are you eating? Like chicken, pork, steaks?
Oh, you're talking about meats?
Yeah.
Anything would do. Chicken, beef, pork.
Okay. So can people
just to regular old Joe?
Can people in the chat then please recommend what the best substitutes are for those options? Because I'm not from the US, so I can't advise as well as other people can. Because the ones I've got here, you haven't got, right. So it wouldn't be it. But I mean, if other people can advise, and then maybe like, because I'll be interested for you to even try them, just so you can kind of at least be able to say, well, okay, well, yeah, that one was nice, or maybe there'll be one you'd be like, no, that didn't work, Because I think all that's valuable. It's valuable to know because,
right.
To get people like yourself to be able to do this. Like products need to improve. We need to do this kind of thing. And we need to know where the issues are, kind of thing. To move forward. So I think getting you just to try a few things would be great if you would be up for that.
Trying. Well,
so just trying a couple of foods. So maybe what?
Chris, do you really think this is well? I'm not necessarily convinced. Like, well, do you want me to say it?
Yeah, of course. You say whatever you need to.
Because I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling.
No. You can.
I really don't. You're like a bullet. Are you sure?
I'm always sure.
Is everybody on the chat sure?
It's better be good though, because you've hyped it up, and last time.
Yeah.
Spit it out. Come on, let's get on with it. It's never as big as you build it up.
You guys ready?
I'm gonna say it, and I'll be like, "Oh, go on then. Just go."
Did you like it before? Like the hype? Did you feel it?
Right, get on with it. Come
on. Because I think like the next step is you're wanting me to go and buy vegan food, right? Just try it, instead of saying,
yeah, exactly.
Aha, that made you a vegan, right? Just say, try it.
Exactly. But, I'm not trying to point score here. I'm not trying to declare that I'm a winner of an argument or anything like that. I'm just trying to do.
Yeah, that's nice.
What's best for the animals, basically. That's all.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, Chris, are you really think that you're gonna turn me into a vegan, or got me in this stream to turn vegan because I get to try this food?
No, I mean I don't think it's going to turn you vegan. It doesn't work like that, does it? I think it's just going to give you another angle on veganism. It will kind of show you, the products that we talk about, because sometimes it's hard, to compare. If because you might eat one, which is what a lot of us have done, and you might go, well, shit, this tastes exactly the same, and you'll be like, okay, so now you can understand that question I asked you before. So if there's two things that are the same, and you'll actually have a real life experience of that, you'll be able to actually, conceptualize that in real life, and be like, right, well, I've got, and I'd just be interested in what your thoughts would be at that, and like people are recommending Dahdiy. Apparently their chicken is meant to be pretty accurate.
Dahdiy,
yeah.
What if I want to build muscle? Does anybody have any dietary systems behind that? Without eating.
Oh yeah, well you can definitely build muscle. I mean, for a start, one of me and Emma's friends is a guy called Hench Herbivore. You can look up his channel. He's actually a vegan personal trainer, and a bodybuilder, and he actually trained the current Mr. Universe, Barney Duplessis, who's also vegan. And also there are Patrick Baboumian is Germany's, he's a German strongman. He holds 4 strongman world records. He's completely vegan. David Hay, the boxer. Nate Diaz from UFC, I think he's kind of 99% vegan. I think he very occasionally has a bit of fish or something, but like he's pretty much plant-based the rest of the time. But yeah, I mean, it can be that I'm definitely not the best person to ask about bodybuilding at all. Like, I need to just go out for a run. I need to start doing some exercise, never mind bodybuilding. So there'll definitely be people like more suited to talk to you about that kind of stuff. But there's actually a website I think called I think it's just called Vegan Bodybuilding or something. That will give you all the information on that, or I can definitely point you in the right direction. But yeah, it's definitely not an issue. There are plenty of vegans like high in their game, in bodybuilding and all different sports and everything that are all. There's like, NFL linebackers that are, vegans and stuff, and so yeah, that's all doable. But I'm just not the person to give you that information, unfortunately.
Right. So, Chris, does it count that I'm actually eating some fruit before this? Considering you want to eat,
it's a good start.
You want me to eat plants with fruits?
I'll give you a point. Yeah, that's all good.
Right,
but I think
yeah, you're trying to get to the next step with me.
Yeah, but I think everyone in the chat is really, they're really keen for you to just give us a try. And the thing is, I guess something I should explain as well. You've got to remember, all the people in this chat, if they're there being like, just do it kind of thing, the only reason they're like this is because they also care about the animals and everything the same as I do. That's all they want. All our goals are the same. We just want to help the animals. So if you I guess that's something good to have in mind, because when you see people that seem really like passionate, or maybe they're like seem over aggressive, it's just they just really want to help the animals basically, and they're just getting frustrated. I guess it's something that will I guess help you understand the psyche of the vegan, I guess.
Yeah. I think I demonstrated I understand it.
Yeah.
Where you guys are coming from.
Yeah. So what do you think, then? Do you reckon we can do that? It's a really small thing. Try a couple of, you don't even need to buy like, buy two or three things or something. Just give them a go. See what you think. You can mix it up. You could always buy, I don't know, one meat thing. We could recommend a good dairy thing, maybe some ice cream or something if you want to try that, or maybe try a type of cheese or whatever you want, really.
So you're saying I can still buy meat to a certain extent, just a slow process?
At the moment, I'm not.
We buy like majority plant-based.
Like I said, I'm not at this stage. I'm not telling you to go vegan. I'm asking you to try some vegan products within your current diet. You know what my end goal is. Yeah. You know what my end goal is. And the thing is, and I wouldn't take that as something that I'm aiming at you, because obviously I want everybody to do this. It's not something that's just you. I would just want everyone to do it, and I'm just encourage people as I go, and even if I completely fail and you never go vegan, but I get you as far as at least reducing, then like I still see that as some form of kind of victory for the animals in a way. It's still a little bit helping them, and that's what I'm pushing for. I hope that I can take people, to do the whole thing, but I can only do what I can do. I'm only one person, and I definitely can't force people to do things. And I just give people the info and hope for the best, basically.
Right.
But I think
can everybody tweet to me the recipe?
What the recipe for what exactly?
Like, just like you're trying to tell me, like,
Oh, what to like try some stuff? Okay.
the recipe.
So you want some recommendations? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Right. Everyone.
yeah,
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna put your Twitter in there. So
yeah. Because I'll just tweet everything from the replies
okay. Same
and stuff like
Twitter
that,
name.
and I'll just write it down on my notepad.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So
Hopefully you'll get some recommendations there. But it looks like the Dahdiy ones seem to have been mentioned a few times, so I'll definitely look into them. I just think it'll be interesting you trying the ones that have been shown to be like the most accurate kind of thing, just to give you an idea of where kind of like the food tech's kind of going and stuff. I think you'd be quite interested. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling like if I say yeah, I'm just gonna lose everything. But
what are you gonna lose?
if I say,
What are you gonna lose exactly?
I don't know. I think you're a nice guy, but maybe there's a little bit of an ego investment here. Am I missing something? Something like, will you say yes to go vegan? You know?
I mean, that's something you're going to just have to tackle up in your head, I guess. Like, I mean, put it this way: like, what's the worst that's going to happen if you do these things? Everyone's just going to really like you. That's not exactly a negative, is it?
These people's going.
Everyone's going to be like, "Well done, that's awesome, good on
now.
you." Like, everyone's just going to be like, everyone's going to be proud of you. That's a good thing to have, you know. It's not as if you're gonna like taste it and everyone's gonna go, "Ha ha, see, proved you right." That's not gonna happen. It'll be the complete opposite.
I don't know. I can just envision like Chris Hines just message me, "Yes, I got you, right in my trap, guys."
No, that's certainly not gonna happen. Because I'm gonna have to wrap this up in a sec. So I mean, do you think can we come to an agreement on that? Then people tweet you some stuff, and you'll have a look, and maybe try a few out. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah, that's cool. I'm happy with that. That's good.
All right.
Yeah, then we can, like I said, we can do another stream or something if you've got any other questions, and we can maybe. I'd just be interested to hear what you thought about it. To be honest, just to get your kind of lowdown. Okay. Maybe you can score them or something. Like make a little chart or something, like a spreadsheet. Like rate them by texture and smell and stuff. I don't know. Actually, one thing. Obviously, I don't know where you're, but you're not in California at all, are you?
Oh, you don't want me to name my states?
No. The only reason I'm saying is just because if you were, so we don't need to say if you're there or not, but if you are, for whatever reason, there is a restaurant called Crossroads, and they're one of the very few restaurants in the country that do the Impossible Burger. And basically, the Impossible Burger is the world's most accurate vegan burger, even to the point where it like bleeds and everything. It's crazy. So all I was going to say is, if you are in that area and we're interested in trying the kind of the peak of the of food tech, that would be what I would recommend. But there might be, I don't know, there might be something.
How much does it cost?
It wasn't actually that expensive. I can't remember. I went there, but I went there twice, so it couldn't have been that expensive. I was actually over in California. When was I? August, and then I'm going back again. Hopefully, if all goes well, in November. There might be some other places. If anyone knows any other places, let me know. Let him know in the chat or tweet him. If you're ever there, I'd definitely recommend that, because then you can really get. I mean, one of my friends who was with me, he had only just gone vegetarian very recently, and he tried it and he was blown away by it. He was just like, oh my god, I feel like I'm just eating a cheeseburger. This is just he literally couldn't believe it. I actually filmed his reaction because it was really funny. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. That's kind of like the height of where things are going. Yeah, just thought I'd drop that in there anyway. Yeah, I guess like because I'm gonna have to sign off in a sec. So, I mean, is there any other kind of last minute questions or anything? Or
I just wanted to talk to Bonell, your princess, because she's mad at me for some reason.
Okay, well,
but I think
let me chat to her then, and I'll see if I can sway her a bit.
Yeah, like maybe both of you guys can come at the same time.
I think I don't mean this as some sort of like blackmail thing or anything. I think if she knows that you've actively gone out and tried some stuff, she would probably take you more seriously. So.
Ooh, okay.
She probably would just because she'll think, oh well, maybe he's not just trolling. So, but I'll definitely talk to her. I'll definitely talk to her. Like I said, she's like one of my best friends. So, yeah, 100% talk to her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's about it. I think I just want to say I was prepared for some logical arguments, but it went into a different direction, and we both comes to qualms about something together.
Yeah,
and two different ideas, but two very similar humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I would assume similar humans.
Well, yeah, if you think about it realistically, I mean, you take that aspect away, and we probably are very similar, in some respects. It's just, most people are, aren't they? We're not completely like polar opposite people or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's basically it.
That's
what I want to say.
Yeah, I think it's been constructive. I think it's been a good chat. And hopefully people in the chat have found it good as well, especially with the hype at the beginning with the Karate Kid music. We had a lot to live up to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That's so good. That was such a good song choice, too,
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So I'm gonna sign off. All right, later.
Yeah, no worries. I'll probably just stay on for another 10 minutes and then I'll come off. I'll just answer any questions in the chat and stuff. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and I'll probably hear from you soon then.